Hi guys, the British government has responded to Donald Trump's attack on Iran by claiming that now is the time for diplomacy. In a strange interview Jonathan Reynolds gave to Trevor Phillips of Sky News, the minister made it clear that UK forces and assets were not involved in the overnight attack, but also suggested that Iran brought it upon themselves. Reynolds suggested the way forward is a diplomatic solution, but how can that be if Donald Trump is in charge, the guy who tore up the original agreement? Have a listen to this.
Jonathan Reynolds, your reaction to the overnight attacks by the United States?
Well, this is obviously breaking news overnight. We support the prevention of Iran obtaining a nuclear weapon. We had proposed a diplomatic course of action, as other European countries had done. The Iranians had rejected that. And I know people will be waking up this morning and they'll be worried. They'll want to know what this means. And I do want to give them reassurance that whilst the British government, the UK, has not been involved in these attacks, we have been making extensive preparations for all eventualities, including how we look after British nationals in the region and how we get them out, and the assets we have in the region to protect British infrastructure, British bases, British personnel, if we need to do that. But from where we are now, what I think we need to do, as the President, I believe himself has said, is get back around the table. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon, but we need a diplomatic process to turn this around.
Okay, what diplomatic process? Donald Trump wants regime change. The Iranian administration understand that Donald Trump wants regime change. Israel wants regime change. So what influence does the UK government have over Donald Trump? Nothing. It's actually worse than that. Not that you don't have influence, but you're going to end up getting becoming collateral damage as well. Because UK citizens are going to be threatened by this, by the response from Iran. You're going to have to evacuate people, not because you're involved in the conflict, but because of your closeness to Donald Trump, to the US administration. What sort of ally is the United States at the moment? The UK is not involved in the conflict, but UK citizens are likely to be a target of Iranian rockets. Now, Donald Trump created this problem. Donald Trump decided, I'm not going to go along with this Iranian deal that Barack Obama signed because Barack Obama signed it. I'm going to tear it up. And then what message did that send to Iran? We're not a reliable partner. So what is the point in any sort of diplomacy if Donald Trump is involved? Because Donald Trump will go in there and say, yeah, we'll agree to this, that, and the other. And then he'd tear it up the very next day. Look at what happened with Ukraine. Donald Trump promised he would end the fighting on day one. It's still going on. And he sided more with Putin than with Ukraine. So how can the Iranian people, if they do eventually replace their leadership, trust Donald Trump? He's completely unreliable. So how can diplomacy progress if one partner is not somebody you can trust? Because in diplomacy, you need to trust the other side. How can the Iranian people trust Donald Trump? They can't. So I think it's going to be very difficult to have diplomacy, to have a diplomatic solution here. And the UK is not in a position to influence Donald Trump because they have no influence over him whatsoever. We've already seen that. So it's going to be very difficult to bring this to a peaceful solution. I think what we're going to see is more attacks by the United States. Donald Trump is now involved, and he knows that his supporters will back him to the hilt. It's going to be a very difficult few months going forward. Let me know in the comment section, guys, what you think. As always, your comments are greatly appreciated. Thanks a lot.